Next up, Holy Motors versus the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension.
Holy Motors. A man is driven around by a chauffeur in a possibly sentient limousine to a series of appointments in which he dons a variety of intricate disguises and completely reinvents himself, sometimes to murderous ends. Is he an actor? Is it his job to carry out these missions? Is this what he does for fun? Your guess is as good as mine.
Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension. Pre-RoboCop, Peter Weller is Buckaroo Banzai, a neurosurgeon slash nuclear scientist slash adventurer slash rock star who, with his band, literally his band of misfits, uncover the fact that Orson Welles' broadcast of the War of the Worlds was actually real and the aliens have invaded. John Lithgow is a freaking delight as the mad scientist who discovered interdimensional travel but went insane in the process. Anyhow, it's also got Jeff Goldblum in a wacky cowboy costume. There is nothing in the world crazier than Holy Motors.
This may turn out to be true.
We could
I don't
talk,
know. We'll find out.
We could talk a fair fucking amount about anything you want. This is
Motors.
Unfair. I love Buckaroo Banzai. I don't love it. I loved it when I was a kid and I saw it when it first came out. I thought it was delightful and quirky and weird as a very, very, very old man.
Clearly.
It just doesn't land as well as it could. Like, it should be more like Sneakers, where it's an ensemble of crazy misfits and they all have their own secret thing that they do, and the script is constructed around like, oh, we need a guy who's like a hacker and we need a guy who's like deaf and can hear stuff or whatever. Like, that is what makes Sneakers so delightful, is they all have their piece of the pie. And then Robert Redford is wonderful as like just...
We're not talking about Sneakers.
I understand, but I'm just saying, like, if it were more like that, I think Buckaroo Banzai is ripe for a fucking reboot. Like, seriously, make it today.
Tell me what's crazy about it.
If our conceit is that people don't behave the way that they do in regular life,
right,
which they don't on a regular basis in that movie.
Buckaroo, President's on line 1 calling about, is everything okay with the alien spacecraft from Planet 10, or should he just go ahead and destroy Russia?
Tell him yes on 1 and no on 2.
Yeah.
So... in the movie, they're like in a concert, and then Peter Weller, Buckaroo Banzai, stops the concert for no reason. He's like, someone in here is sad. And then they go, and like, that's crazy. Like, and turns out, lo and behold, what's her name?
Ellen Barkin.
Ellen Barkin is sad. She's really sad. And like, he stops the whole concert to like talk to her, and he says like this really wonderful line. He says, remember, no matter where you go, there you are. Fucking love that. I think it's really... like, it's a delightful moment.
I don't think he was the first one to say that, but
No, he was not.
But yeah, I ask you just because I mean, I don't think this is not crazy, but again, I found myself to be a little disinterested, a little bored by it. And I know a lot, this was the first time I'd ever seen it. I know a lot of people who love this movie, you know, their faces light up when you mention this movie. And I guess it's because it is lacking that element of this super wacky team doing this you know, super important thing. I guess the stakes were there, the super important thing was there. I wasn't that interested in anybody.
I think the storytelling construction of it doesn't support like the concept of it. I think that like Jeff Goldblum, who's always delightful and wacky and crazy in his own right, he's full on.
He brings the crazy.
He brings like 9 Goldblums to the table in this.
And
the costume with the cowboy thing.
And Lithgow brings
John Lithgow is
1,000 Lithgows to the table.
He is bananas in this movie. Yes. But like, that's what the script calls for. And he's great. Like, and I love that he's in the Trenton Home for the Criminally Insane. But that's a delightful. You know what I mean? Like, it's really nice. But that doesn't happen in any way in the real world. But so that's the argument for this. That's why it's on the list, because there are crazy elements to it.
However,
Fucking
holy Motors. It's it's hard to know where to begin. I guess, first of all, shout out to the actor. Kind of an astonishing performance.
Yes.
If you can get
I agree.
beyond the craziness of it, which you can't, it is an astonishing performance because he completely reinvents himself in each vignette segment of the movie
So,
as these different characters.
Just to be clear, he gets in a limousine and then he goes from one place to the other and he gets like his assignment and he's putting on makeup while he's in the limo and he goes to the place and then behaves in a completely crazy way.
Completely crazy. And you
when
have
he gets
no
to
idea
location.
why.
And
you have
there-
no idea why.
And it doesn't come together. We're like, at the end, we're like, of course that's the reason why he was
if
behaving
anything,
that
the
way.
last minute of the film sort
Only
of
makes it more crazy.
only makes it more crazy and makes you rethink the whole thing. But, there is a sequence in which he's confronted with someone who looks exactly like himself and has to murder him. There's a sequence in which he dons this completely distorted troll-like disguise in which he...
With a badass suit, by the way.
With a badass suit.
Yep.
And he interrupts a photo shoot with a model and kidnaps her, but not before biting off the fingers of someone at the shoot.
Fucking crazy!
Fingers get bitten. And,
And they're
off,
off. Yeah, and then he bites them off and spits them out. And then, do we have a clip? Is there a clip?
And maybe
I think we have a clip.
Do
we have a clip?
Très, très humain.
I think we have a clip. Got a clip. And he may or may not be married to an orangutan.
Oh my god.
And have orangutan children.
Whatever, it's fucking insane. It is... It bears no... it takes place in our world, which maybe that's what makes it the most crazy of the things.
Yes.
Is that it definitely is grounded in reality.
It's grounded in a couple of very realistic relationships that he has with someone who may or may not be his daughter, that he has someone who may or may not be an ex-lover. These very seriously played scenes. One moment, and then the next moment, we're biting off fingers. It's nuts.
We're probably going to have to go back to this, but the fact the movie never explains it just drops you in. It's like, here's our own internal logic, of which there's, some, but you have to bring your own logic to the table of what the world is. And then he behaves in this insane fucking way from top to bottom, right down the line. The movie never explains what his mission is, why he's doing these things, except that he has to for some reason.
Yeah, it's also the juxtaposition between who he is in these different segments as someone else and then just sort of who he is at Stasis, taking off the makeup, putting on the makeup, eating a snack, whatever, having a conversation with someone who's just sort of like a normal dude, and the complete turn on a dime each time shoots you out of a cannon and made me feel crazy.
But here's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
I think Buckaroo Banzai is a much more enjoyable movie, but I think it's not as good a movie as Holy Motors. Holy Motors is a really well-made, insane movie.
Yeah.
It's firmly what it is, but I don't want to watch it again. And I might watch Buckaroo Banzai again.
Right, but this isn't the will you watch it again Thursday list.
There's
Holy Motors.
Holy Motors.
Holy Motors.
Fucking bananas. Holy Motors.
Do you know who Ken Russell is? Are you burning to find out? Then you simply must see episode 10, The Lair of the White Worm versus Salome's Last Dance.